we're working on a couple of my personal bikes for the upcoming rally in Richmond, Virginia. First, we're going to be working on my 1978 Puch Newport. It's actually just a pretty nice maxi with some big upgrades on it. Secondly, we're going to be working on my 1978 Puch Magnum XK. This thing's actually fully built. It's a very nice bike, but I did cut a lot of corners before I finished this bike. It's time to finally correct them before I bring them out into the public, and ultimately just to make this bike a whole lot safer. Firstly, we're going to go ahead and give both of these bikes a really quick oil change, because specifically this Newport hasn't had its oil changed in over 2 years now. And as you guys can see, you can still tell that it was a red oil, but this stuff's looking pretty black, so it really needs a replacement. No surprise here, I want to at least give this carburetor a check and make sure that it's not too dirty before we go down, because a clogged carburetor right away would be really sad. And taking a look at it, just after 2 years, it really isn't bad, but we're still going to go ahead and give it a really quick clean and reinstall it to the bike. Another really good thing that I want to do is just simply replace this spark plug, which after looking at it, I'm really glad I did. So another thing that I kind of wanted to do last minute is I noticed that this Magnum looked a little bland. So I actually recruited my wife to help me put some decals on it. And while she did that, I'm going to go ahead and address the exhaust. This thing is super loose because, as you can see, I zip tied it to the swing arm of the bike. So you guys can pretty much just ignore this section of the video, but I took a grinder and just made my own custom bracket. And what do you guys think? I personally think that this decal came out amazing. So first, we're going to go ahead and line this exhaust up how it should be, so we can kind of get an idea of how we need to build this bracket and make it custom for this exhaust. It really isn't a huge gap, but it's an awkward gap. There's a little bit of spacing and a little bit of length. So, like I said, you guys can pretty much just ignore this. I gave a rough sketch and just pretty much started pounding on this thing. And to all the haters out there that always say that I don't know what I'm doing, you're clearly right. But every once in a while, a blind squirrel does find a nut. And as you guys can see, this thing lined up pretty good. I was not mad at how this thing lined up. All that I had to do was drill a hole so we can get this thing to at least line up perfectly, and I'd be able to fasten it really well. And again, to all those haters out there that know that I like to ignore the washers just to rage bait, I went ahead and just cut all that out and just put the washers on so you can see them. And this thing really came out good. I was able to pretty much lift the entire bike up by this thing now. A quick check of the carburetor, because this bike's actually not even a year old of being built, and everything's pretty good, looking clean. And I just did a little bit of cable management and wire management just so it looks a little bit better. So my main focus was with these new EBR forks. I actually had to run the original Fender just so I can have this thing holding itself together a little bit, because the wobble was crazy while you rode. After taking it off, I was able to eye up this new Fender. It's a heavy-duty Fender that I actually got from MopedDivision.com, and it actually should just bolt right onto this thing. And as you guys can see, that's obviously not bolted on, but it looks great and lines up perfect. So it was time to go ahead and clean these girls up, just so they looked a little bit better for the rally. And with that, this simple process was done, and these things came out great. Huge thanks to my wife for making that decal because it looks good, and this just overall was a very easy, light work day in the shop. all that was left to do was load these suckers up and head down to Virginia. So go ahead, make sure to check back in for part 2 when it's up. It won't be too long, and I hope you guys enjoy the video.
In the past I messed up.